Today we'll be making turtle pie, and this is a really great pie. It's one of my favorite pies to make. It's really easy, it's not that difficult, and it's really, really tasty because it has like almost everything I really like about pastry all wrapped into one dish. It's got a caramel layer that has pecans, toasted pecans in it, which is really, I love pecans. They're just really toasted, really tasty, almost candy-like really, and the caramel just adds to that warm candy-like flavor. Then on top of that it has a layer of chocolate mousse, which I'm going to show you a really easy way to make chocolate mousse, so don't worry about it. And then on top of that is a layer of whipped cream. I mean, and then with an Oreo cookie crust, it's just really, really tasty. So let me go ahead and explain what's going on so far. I've already taken some pecan pieces. I didn't really chop them up. I just bought them as pieces as it is. I like the irregular pieces that the pecans make, that they come in already. But if you have whole pecans, just chop them up roughly, and then toast them on your stove at like medium-high. Don't let them get too like blackened, because that's when they get burnt. But when you start smelling a nice toasted aroma, that's when they're getting pretty close. So just let them go for a little bit longer, and then let them cool off in the pan. Now, I wasn't able to find Oreo crumbs in my grocery store, but I use these all the time. They're pre-made crusts. I know it's a little bit cheating, but you can find them in the baking section. Usually it's next to like the puddings or the pie fillings. And it's an already made crust, perfect for one recipe, so it's really great for that. It also comes with the lid. You can take out the lid. You'll have to clean it off before you use it for this purpose. But basically you can flip it right on top and it automatically has a lid for it. So it's really handy. So the first thing you want to do is just take your toasted pecans and just put them right into the pie shell. And you have about an ounce, maybe 2 ounces of pecans. It's just enough to lightly cover the bottom because you want the caramel to go in between them, in between all the pecans, so that way there's like not a layer of pecans and a layer of caramel. You want a layer of pecans and caramel together. Now I have set aside, I have 1 ounce of butter and a half an ounce of butter, and they're cooled to room temperature. And we're going to use the ounce of butter for the caramel layer, and the half ounce to go into the chocolate mousse. Now I also have a whole egg separated. I have the yolk in this ramekin, and I have the white in the mixing bowl. And the mixing bowl has been wiped out with vinegar, because what we're going to do is we're going to whip it up to get some more volume out of our chocolate mousse. Now this recipe does have an uncooked egg in it, so be aware of that. And then in this bowl I have 4 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. And so what we're going to do, the first step that we're going to do is we're going to whip up the egg whites. Go ahead and start your mixer. So remember, this is just 1 egg white, and here I have 3/4 of an ounce of sugar. Okay, go ahead and slowly add your sugar in. Okay, just whip your eggs to stiff peaks, and what we're going to do is we're going to set them aside in a separate bowl. Okay, so now I've cleaned out my mixing bowl and the whip attachment, and I've put in 4 ounces of heavy cream, and what we're going to do is we're going to whip this to medium peaks. While this is mixing, you want to go ahead and start boiling a pot of water. It's only got about 1 inch or 2 of water in it, and we're going to use that for a double boiler to melt our chocolate. Okay, so we're at medium peaks. So let's go ahead and set our whipped cream aside. Okay, so here I have the boiling water for our double boiler. All we're going to do is take our 4 ounces of chocolate in our metal bowl, and we're going to put it right on top, and we're going to turn off the heat. Here I have 3 ounces of sugar with 1 ounce of water mixed together so there's no clumps of sugar that are dry, and we're going to go ahead and turn this to high. I've also added just a pinch of cream of tartar. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that right now because I just remembered I did not. Just a drop. You don't really need a whole lot. And that's going to prevent crystallization. So while the sugar is boiling, we're going to go ahead and melt down our chocolate. Remember, this is 4 ounces of bittersweet chocolate chips. And the reason we do it over a double boiler is because chocolate burns really easily. It also seizes when it's exposed to heat, or really direct hot heat. And what that means is that it gets all like chunky and almost unusable, almost like a really unpleasant, dense brownie thing. It's really weird. It's just for some reason heats. Water can do that too if you get water into it. Now see, this chocolate's melting pretty quickly, so we won't have much trouble with that. And remember, I turned off the high heat over this burner, so that way the water underneath is not boiling. Now if you can see, our sugar is starting to boil as well. And what we're doing here is we're going to caramelize it, but instead of like the flan episode, we're going to add cream and butter. And now I have what was it, 1.5 ounces of heavy cream set aside and 1 ounce of butter. And I actually put them together in this ramekin, just like this. And we're just going to add it right directly into the hot sugar. Just be really, really careful when you do that, because the heavy cream and the butter can spatter back at you and burn you. So just be aware of what can happen. Now our chocolate's completely melted, so I'm going to go ahead and take it off the double boiler. And if it starts to harden up again, I'll probably have to cool it back down, and I probably will. Now actually, since this is taking well, actually, you know what? It's starting to caramelize a little bit on the side, so maybe it's not taking as long as I thought. If you do have a second while it's caramelizing, go ahead and add the 1/2 ounce of butter to the hot chocolate. You might want to do that while it's over the double boiler, so that way you can get it nice and melted and combined. But you know what? Since this sugar is almost done caramelizing, we're going to go ahead and prepare it for our caramel layer. Don't let it get burnt, but you want a nice caramel color. So as soon as where you're at, we'll turn off the heat. Okay, let's come over here. Okay, and go ahead and add in your heavy cream and butter. And go ahead and stir that evenly. Now this is how you make a basic caramel sauce. Okay, so we've got a nice colored caramel sauce. This came out really nice looking. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add it right to our pecans while it's still hot. And to make it even, we're going to go ahead and Spread it evenly. Don't pour it one place and hope that it's going to flow, because the pecans are going to act like little barriers and prevent the caramel from flowing. Okay, now we're going to put this in the refrigerator to cool off, so that way, because you don't want to add the chocolate mousse to a hot caramel sauce. Okay, so we're back with our our chocolate, and I put it back on the double boiler with a little bit of heat, and we're going to go ahead and make sure it's all nice and melted. And if it is, let's go ahead and add that butter. And then using a smashing motion, incorporate the butter with the chocolate. Try not to incorporate too much air into the chocolate with vigorous stirring.